The adult entertainment industry. It's a realm that exists in the shadows of our society, often hidden from plain sight. It's a world most of us only glimpse through pixelated screens and hushed whispers. We see it in the privacy of our homes, on our devices, but rarely do we understand the full scope of what lies beneath the surface. We might imagine it as a realm of fantasy and desire, where boundaries are pushed and taboos are explored. The allure of the nightlife, the glamour of the parties, and the thrill of the forbidden can be intoxicating. But behind the seductive facade lies a darker reality, a sinister underbelly controlled by an unseen force, the porn mafia. This shadowy network operates with ruthless efficiency, hidden from the public eye. This isn't about your local video store owner or a website operator. It's far more insidious and far-reaching than that. This is about a complex network of individuals and organizations operating outside the law. They are the puppet masters pulling the strings behind the scenes, orchestrating a vast and intricate web of exploitation. They control vast swathes of the industry, from production and distribution to recruitment and exploitation. Every aspect is meticulously managed to maximize profit and minimize exposure. Their influence stretches across continents, leaving a trail of shattered lives in their wake. From the bustling cities of the West to the remote villages of the East, no corner of the globe is untouched by their reach. The methods employed are often brutal, the victims numerous, and the stories harrowing. These are not just statistics, they are real people with real lives, forever scarred by their experiences. But the true horror lies in the silence of the victims who are too afraid to speak out, the silence of the society that turns a blind eye, and the silence of the authorities who fail to act. The porn mafia thrives in the shadows, exploiting fear and vulnerability to maintain its grip on power. They use intimidation and violence to keep their victims in line and to silence any opposition. This is a journey into the heart of that darkness, an unflinching look at the human cost of a billion-dollar industry built on exploitation and abuse. It's a story that needs to be told, a reality that needs to be exposed, and a fight that needs to be fought. The porn mafia isn't a monolithic entity, but rather a complex web of interconnected groups and individuals. This intricate network operates much like a sprawling spider web, with each thread representing a different faction or individual, all interconnected yet distinct in their roles and operations. Think of it less like a traditional mafia family and more like a loose network of criminal entrepreneurs, each with their own territory and methods. These entrepreneurs are not bound by familial ties, but by mutual interests and the pursuit of profit, often collaborating and competing in a delicate balance of power. At the top, you might find powerful figures who control vast distribution networks or finance large-scale production companies. These individuals are akin to the CEOs of major corporations, wielding significant influence and resources to shape the industry according to their whims. These individuals operate with a degree of sophistication, often using legitimate businesses as fronts and employing lawyers and accountants to manage their illicit earnings. They create a veneer of respectability, masking their true activities behind layers of legal and financial complexity. Below them exists a hierarchy of recruiters, producers, and distributors, each playing a crucial role in the supply chain of exploitation. Recruiters are tasked with finding new talent, often preying on the vulnerable and desperate, while producers oversee the creation of content, ensuring a steady stream of material to meet demand. These individuals are often involved in the day-to-day operations, directly controlling the lives of the performers and using a combination of coercion, manipulation, and violence to maintain control. They are the enforcers of the industry, ensuring that everyone stays in line and that the machinery of exploitation runs smoothly. Finally, at the bottom of this pyramid are the victims, the men and women often young and vulnerable who are lured or forced into performing in pornographic films. These individuals are frequently deceived with false promises of fame and fortune, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmarish reality. They are the ones who bear the brunt of the industry's brutality, their lives and bodies treated as commodities in a ruthless trade. Stripped of their autonomy and dignity, they endure unimaginable hardships, often with no way out. The structure of exploitation is designed to perpetuate their suffering, ensuring that the cycle of abuse continues unabated. To understand the porn mafia, we need to meet its players. Take, for example, the fixer. This individual might appear charming, even benevolent at first. They offer aspiring performers a way in, promising fame and fortune. But these promises often come with a steep price, one that involves surrendering control of their careers, their finances, and even their identities. Then there's the enforcer, the muscle behind the operation. They might be a bodyguard, a driver, or someone lurking on the periphery. Their role is to ensure compliance using intimidation, threats, and violence to keep performers in line and silence any dissent. We also encounter the facilitators, individuals who may not be directly involved in exploitation, but turn a blind eye to the industry's practices. This category includes lawyers who draft exploitative contracts, accountants who launder money, and even landlords who rent out properties knowing they will be used for illegal filming. These are just a few faces in a crowded room, each playing their part in perpetuating a system of exploitation and abuse. Secrecy is the lifeblood of the porn mafia. They thrive in the darkness, exploiting legal loopholes and operating in the murky spaces where law enforcement struggles to reach. One of their most potent weapons is fear. Victims are often terrified to speak out, fearing retribution from their abusers or the stigma and shame associated with the industry. They are often isolated from their support systems, their movements controlled, and their communication monitored. The internet has further complicated matters. While it has opened up new avenues for distribution and consumption, it has also made it easier for criminal elements to operate with anonymity. Websites can be hosted in countries with lax laws, payments can be made through untraceable channels, and victims can be recruited from anywhere in the world. This combination of fear, anonymity, and online accessibility creates a perfect storm for exploitation, allowing the porn mafia to operate with impunity. To truly grasp the insidious nature of the porn mafia, we need to hear the stories of those who have lived through its horrors. These stories are not just isolated incidents, but part of a larger, more sinister web of exploitation and manipulation. Take the case of Sarah, a young woman who dreamed of a career in modeling. She had always been passionate about fashion and photography, and she believed that this was her chance to make it big. She was approached by a photographer who promised to help her build her portfolio. He seemed professional and trustworthy, offering her a chance to work with reputed brands and agencies. Little did she know that this seemingly harmless opportunity was a gateway into a nightmare. The initial photo shoots were innocent enough, but soon the demands began to escalate. Sarah was pressured into performing in increasingly explicit shoots, her initial consent eroded by a combination of manipulation and coercion. The photographer used psychological tactics, making her feel guilty and obligated to comply. Her passport was confiscated, her movements restricted, and she was forced to perform in films she found degrading and exploitative. She was isolated from her friends and family, making it nearly impossible for her to seek help. Or consider the story of Mark, a young man struggling with addiction. Mark had dreams of becoming a musician, but his life took a dark turn when he became entangled with the wrong crowd. He was lured into the industry with the promise of easy money, only to find himself trapped in a cycle of debt and exploitation. The initial payments seemed like a lifeline, but they quickly became a noose around his neck. He was forced to perform in scenes that went against his personal boundaries, his addiction weaponized to keep him compliant. The more he tried to escape, the deeper he sank into the abyss of exploitation. These stories, though fictionalized to protect the identities of the victims, are tragically common. They represent the countless individuals who have been ensnared by the porn mafia, their lives forever altered by the trauma they endured. They highlight the devastating impact of the porn mafia, an impact that extends far beyond the screen. The emotional and psychological scars left on the victims are profound, affecting their ability to trust, to form relationships, and to rebuild their lives. The porn mafia preys on the vulnerable, exploiting their dreams and turning them into nightmares. It is a system that thrives on secrecy and fear, making it all the more important to bring these stories to light and to fight against this pervasive evil.